The month of Muharram is not just the first month in the Islamic calendar. It is a sacred time directly honored by Allah Himself. When Allah describes something as sacred, it's not merely symbolic, it's a call to heightened awareness, devotion, and reflection. In Surah At-Tabaha, Allah clearly mentions 4 sacred months, and among them is Muharram. From the moment this month begins, the believer is meant to feel a shift in their spiritual state. Yet sadly, for many of us, the month of Muharram passes like any other, unnoticed, unvalued, and unappreciated. The days slip through our fingers like grains of sand, while our hearts remain preoccupied with worldly matters that offer no lasting benefit. When something is sacred in the eyes of Allah, it becomes a means of drawing closer to Him, a time to protect the soul from sin, and a moment to harvest the blessings of sincere deeds. Muharram is one of those rare opportunities where the reward for good actions is multiplied, where refraining from sin is not only necessary but spiritually critical. Unfortunately, many people treat the beginning of the Islamic year with no more than a passing thought. We get excited for new worldly calendars, we celebrate New Year's parties, we make resolutions when January comes, but how many of us pause to make a resolution when Allah's sacred month begins? This isn't just a new page of time, it's a spiritual invitation. Think about it. Allah in His wisdom begins the Islamic calendar with a sacred month, not a month of celebration or worldly festivity. Why? Because the beginning of the year should be about grounding ourselves in our relationship with Allah. Muharram comes with silence, not noise, with reflection, not distraction, with elevation of the soul, not drowning in desires. If we truly understand the weight of the word sacred, we would not dare to enter this month heedlessly. Instead, we would enter it like a traveler enters a valley of blessings, with humility, purpose, and eagerness to collect as much as he can before he moves on. The companions of the Prophet would prepare for sacred times. They knew that there are moments in life that carry more weight than others. Just like Layla al-Qadr is better than 1,000 months, the sacred months have their own special spiritual frequency. Muharram is not about ritual alone. It is about internal awakening. It's a moment to ask, where am I going? What have I done with my past year? And how will I spend this new year that Allah has blessed me with? It's a time to walk away from sins that have become part of our habits and to begin again with sincerity. It's a time to write goals, not on paper, but in our hearts. Goals that revolve around Salah, Quran, charity, kindness, forgiveness, and purity of the heart. When the Prophet would speak about the sacred months, he wouldn't just describe their names, he would describe their value. And what greater honor could a month have than to be described by the Messenger of Allah as the month of Allah, Shahrullah al-Muharram. This isn't a light title, it's a divine association. It's as though Allah is saying, this is my month, treat it accordingly. What would we do if we knew we were walking into Allah's house? We would remove the dirt from our shoes, the pride from our hearts, and the sins from our souls. Muharram is not just a reminder, it is a door to reconnect, to repair, and to rise once again, no matter how far we may have fallen. Fasting during Muharram, especially on the 10th day known as Ashura, is one of the most profound opportunities gifted to the believers. The Prophet described the reward of this fast as the expiation of the sins of the previous year. Imagine being told that by simply abstaining from food and drink for a few hours with sincerity, your entire past year's minor sins can be forgiven. How can the heart of a believer not leap at this offer from Allah? It's as though Allah is inviting us once again to clean the slate, to turn the page, to begin anew, without judgment, without harshness, but with mercy and hope. Yet so many ignore this fast, lost in the distractions of the world, unaware that this simple day carries such weight in the heavens. When the Prophet arrived in Medina, he found the Jews fasting on the day of Ashura in gratitude for the deliverance of Musa alayhi and the children of Israel from Pharaoh's tyranny. The Prophet, upon hearing this, said that we are more deserving of Musa than them, and instructed the believers to fast on this day. This shows the strong spiritual connection that binds the Ummah with the prophets of old. Ashura is not just a historical event, it's a day of liberation, of faith over fear, of truth over tyranny. Fasting on this day isn't just about reward, It's about aligning ourselves with the values of the prophets, showing gratitude to Allah for His mercy, and affirming that we stand with those whom Allah helped because of their faith. Many people fast during Ramadan and think that outside of that month, fasting has little importance. But the Prophet referred to fasting in Muharram as being second only to Ramadan in virtue. He said, the best of fasts after Ramadan is in the month of Allah, Muharram. How can one who truly loves Allah neglect this? Fasting is not only about leaving food and drink, it's about cleansing the soul, disciplining the nafs, and becoming conscious of Allah in every moment. A fast done with sincerity teaches patience, humility, gratitude, and compassion. It softens the heart and makes us more aware of our own weaknesses and more appreciative of Allah's endless blessings. The believer who fasts on Ashura doesn't just follow a tradition, he revives our sunnah. He proves to himself and to his Lord that he desires His mercy more than His comfort, that he values the reward of the unseen more than the pleasures of the present. This one day of fasting can be a catalyst for change, a spark that lights a path of taqwa for the rest of the year. But the opportunity is fleeting. Once the day is gone, it's gone for another year. And we don't know if we will live to see it again. So many people wish they had done more, prayed more, fasted more. But the moments passed them by. The day of Ashura is a chance to be among those who don't just regret, they act, they obey, they seek, and they rise. Fasting in Muharram, particularly Ashura, is not just a spiritual act. It is a powerful message to our own selves. It says, I am still on this path. I may have stumbled, I may have slowed down, but I have not turned away. It is a statement to the angels recording our deeds that we still desire closeness to Allah. It is a response to shaitan that our faith is stronger than our hunger and our submission to Allah is greater than our attachment to comfort. It is a silent but clear call to the heavens that this servant has not forgotten his Lord, nor the reward that awaits those who strive, even with small but sincere deeds. The story of Musa alayhi salam and Fir'aun is not merely a tale from the past. It is a mirror held up to every soul struggling with injustice, hardship, or fear. When we reflect on why this specific story is tied to the day of Ashura, we begin to see the deeper message Allah is sending to every believer. The day Allah saved Musa and his people was a day of divine intervention after years of suffering, oppression, and what seemed like hopelessness. But in the most critical moment, when Musa and his people stood before the sea with Fir'aun's army behind them, and the hearts of the people began to tremble with fear, what did Musa alayhi salam say? Indeed, with me is my Lord, He will guide me. That moment captures the very essence of tawakkul, of trusting Allah even when there seems to be no way out. Ashura reminds us that Allah's help comes in the most unexpected ways and at the most unexpected times. The sea itself split open not by sword, not by army, but by the command of Allah. This is the power of faith, this is the power of patience, and this is the power of sincere dua. When we fast on Ashura, we aren't just fasting in memory of Musa, we are fasting in gratitude for every moment in our own lives when Allah saved us from what we didn't know how to escape. Whether it was from pain, sin, heartbreak, or harm, there were moments when we too stood trapped by life's difficulties. But if we're here today still believing, still praying, still hoping, then we too have crossed our own seas, only by Allah's will. This story also shows us the reality of arrogance. Fir'aun had power, wealth, armies, and even claimed to be God. But Allah drowned him without sending an angel or a prophet to strike him. He drowned in the very sea that looked like his victory. It teaches us that those who oppose the truth may rise high for a while, but the fall that awaits them is far greater. In our own lives, we see people who seem to succeed through oppression, falsehood, and arrogance. Ashura teaches us not to envy their success or question our path. Truth doesn't always win in the beginning, it wins in the end. Our job is not to force the victory, but to remain firm upon the truth until the victory arrives. And the Prophet fasted on Ashura. He did not just imitate a past tradition. He revived a moment in which Allah's power was made manifest on earth. That same power is still at work in our lives today. We just have to be patient enough to witness it. When you stand in prayer, begging Allah for relief, remember that Musa alayhi salam made dua for years before the sea split. When you hold on to your deen in a world that mocks it, remember that Bani Israel were persecuted for generations before they found freedom. When you feel like you are drowning in your own trials, remember that the sea can still open for you, that Allah is still watching, and that the day of Ashura is not a reminder of loss, It is a reminder of rescue. Muharram is not just a page in our calendar, nor is it just the start of another year. It is a part of our Islamic identity, deeply rooted in the legacy of the prophets, the message of the Quran, and the teachings of the Messenger. To overlook this sacred month is to disconnect from a piece of who we are as an ummah. It's not just about dates or historical remembrance. It is about recognizing the rhythms of time that Allah has blessed, honoring them with humility, and using them as anchors for our faith in a world full of distractions. When a believer forgets the value of sacred times, their heart begins to lose sensitivity toward what truly matters. The dunya becomes louder and the soul becomes quieter. Muharram is one of those moments where the soul is meant to awaken again. This month is tied to events that shape not just the lives of individuals but the destiny of entire nations. The deliverance of Musa, the sacrifices of past believers, the trials and triumphs of those who chose faith over fear. These aren't just moments in Islamic history, they are lessons carved into the heart of our deen. Muharram brings all of that into focus. It is a spiritual lens that helps us see our struggles through the legacy of the righteous who came before us. How can one who calls themselves a follower of this deen be indifferent to a month that Allah Himself has declared sacred? How can we ignore what our predecessors honored and revered? When we let Muharram pass without reflection, without action, and without reverence, we begin to lose touch with the deeper dimensions of Islam. We begin to see the faith as a set of rituals disconnected from meaning. Muharram is a reminder that our faith is living. It flows through time and memory. It connects the past to the present, and if we honor it, it will guide us into a better future. When we reflect on Ashura and the many lessons embedded within this month, we reclaim a piece of our spiritual compass. We realize that Islam is not just a religion of belief. It is a religion of timing, seasons, and sacred rhythms that align the heart with the Creator's will. The Prophet lived this understanding fully. Every time a sacred month came, he honored it through increased worship, fasting, reflection, and remembrance. He taught his companions not just what to do, but when to do it, because timing in Islam is not random, it is divine. Muharram isn't an accident at the start of the Islamic year. It was placed there by the wisdom of Allah as a way to begin the year with sacred purpose. The fact that our new year begins with a sacred month is itself a sign that our year should begin with devotion, not distraction, with reflection, not heedlessness, with gratitude, not forgetfulness. When we ignore Muharram, we miss out on that divine message. And when we honor it, we reinforce in ourselves a deeper identity, one that is not defined by the world around us, but by the path Allah has drawn out for us through His prophets and His final messenger. One of the greatest tragedies in sacred times is when they become clouded by practices that have no root in the teachings of the Quran or the Sunnah. Muharram, despite its honor and its weight in the sight of Allah, has unfortunately become a month where many people engage in acts that are either innovations or outright distortions of Islamic guidance. While the month is meant to bring hearts closer to Allah, some use it as a stage for emotion-driven rituals that were never practiced by the Prophet nor approved by his companions. True love for the deen is not shown by creating new practices, but by holding firmly to what the Messenger brought with clarity, sincerity, and balance. When we begin to add to the religion based on emotion, culture, or influence from outside sources, we dilute the purity of what was sent down from Allah. The sacredness of Muharram demands that we not only increase our good deeds, but also avoid falling into harmful innovations. It is not just about doing more, it's about doing it right. Some people assume that any act done with good intentions must be accepted, but Islam is not built on intention alone. It is built on intention and correct action. The Prophet warned us that whoever introduces into this religion something that is not from it, it will be rejected. No matter how passionate or sincere someone may be, if they walk a path that was never taught by the Prophet, they risk turning away from the very guidance they seek. What makes Islam beautiful is its clarity. We don't need to invent ways to connect with Allah. We already have the best example in the Messenger. In sacred months like Muharram, our duty is to revive the Sunnah, not replace it. We must remind ourselves and those around us that honoring the month does not mean beating ourselves in grief, fabricating stories, or engaging in practices rooted in division and sectarianism. Instead, Honoring Muharram means fasting, seeking forgiveness, remembering the mercy of Allah, studying the stories of the prophets and being cautious of sin. It is a time to purify the heart, not fill it with anger, hatred or confusion. It is a time to reflect on the trials of the past in light of the teachings that came to correct the future. There were companions who witnessed the month of Muharram in the presence of the Prophet, and they never engaged in the practices we see today in many parts of the world. This alone is enough proof that the true way to honor the month is through what was practiced then. The preservation of the religion depends on our loyalty to its core principles. If we allow culture to override creed and emotion to override evidence, we risk becoming people who think they are drawing closer to Allah while unknowingly moving away. Muharram is not a month of theatrical displays of pain or guilt. It is a month of peaceful submission, deep remembrance and quiet strength. It's a month where the believer retreats into sincerity and returns to the basics of worship with renewed focus. To preserve the sanctity of this month, we must be vigilant not just against sin, but against deviation. True honor for sacred times comes through alignment with the prophetic model, not through imitation of those who stray from it. Muharram is a divine reset button, a spiritual invitation from Allah to start fresh, regardless of what has transpired in the past year. It arrives quietly, without the noise of celebration or the fanfare of festivals, but with a profound depth that offers renewal for the one who seeks it. Life often pulls us in many directions: distractions, sins, regrets, broken goals and missed opportunities. We carry the weight of our shortcomings like stones in our hearts. Muharram is not just another chance. It is the first chapter of a new beginning, written not in ink but in intention. The doors of mercy are open. The pages of the new year are blank, and the pen that will write our deeds begins to move again. What will we choose to fill those pages with? The believer who understands the value of sacred time sees Muharram as a gift. Just as Ramadan comes to soften the heart and elevate the soul, Muharram comes to awaken the heart after the heedlessness that may have crept in. It is a gentle but firm reminder from Allah: return to me. No matter how far we've strayed, how many prayers we've missed, how many sins we've committed, the start of a new year is a divine signal that we can still change, still strive, and still be forgiven. When Allah calls us back, it is not to punish but to purify. And when He gives us the sacred months, it is to magnify our reward and to ease the path of redemption. Many people enter a new year with worldly resolutions, career ambitions, financial goals, physical improvements, but the believer enters with a deeper question: what will I do for my akhirah this year? Muharram is the moment to ask yourself, what sin have I been holding on to that I now must let go of? What act of worship have I delayed for far too long? What step toward Allah have I feared to take? It is in this sacred time that the soul feels more vulnerable, more open, and more aware. The heart begins to yearn for purification, for structure, for proximity to the Creator. These feelings are not random. They are the mercy of Allah at work within you, urging you toward Him before the distractions of life drown them out again. When the Prophet would enter sacred months, he would increase in his worship. He didn't wait for a specific occasion or external reminder. He knew the time itself carried a spiritual significance that deserved attention. Muharram is not about doing everything at once. It's about taking the first sincere step. One fast, one prayer, one heartfelt dua, one moment of repentance can unlock a year of barakah. The way we begin often shapes the way we continue. And if we begin the year with a connection to Allah, the rest of the months are likely to follow in the same light. But if we begin with heedlessness, delay, and spiritual neglect, we risk setting a tone that may be difficult to reverse. Shaitan doesn't fear your intentions, he fears your actions. He will try to distract you from honoring Muharram by telling you it's just another month, that there's still time, that change can wait. But the believer knows that sacred time is not guaranteed to come again. Muharram may return next year, but we may not. This realization does not bring fear alone, it brings urgency, purpose, and hope. It pushes the heart to move now, to turn now, to change now, even if only with one step. The beauty of sacred time is that even a small effort is magnified in reward. Even a single fast, a single sincere tear, a single whispered istighfar carries more weight than we can ever measure.